Hey there, Overcomer. Happy Thursday. If this is your first time joining me for this podcast, my name is LaTerra Wise. I am the Heartwork Strategist and also your host. I'm, I'm not going to say super excited for tonight's episode, but I am excited to be here and I am excited to have this conversation with you all. So as you join, say hi, let me know you're here. And tonight's going to be a little different. It's going to be a little different, but I think it's going to be good. And I know that it's going to be God. So I'm excited for that. Hey, Jan, how are you? So, yeah, as you join, if you know someone who is in a period of transition, in a period where they are trying to make a decision and have been unsure, then this episode is going to give them some direction, give them some guidance, give them some encouragement that they are not alone. Hey, Miss Dionette. Good evening. Good evening. I hope you are doing well. Yeah. Thank you, Jan. My daughter did my braids. My hair is courtesy of my daughter. My skin is starting to glow, and that's courtesy of a consultation with Jay. If you have not had a consultation with her, I highly, highly suggest it because she will get you all the way together. So I am going to go ahead and just jump right in. So if you saw my post on Facebook, then you know that I was supposed to have a guest tonight. The format of this show is that it's me interviewing a guest about their journey of overcoming and getting to the other side and finding that joy in the process of getting to that place of joy on the other side. Last week, my guest and her whole family were sick, so she couldn't make it. This week, I'm not exactly sure what happened to my guest. Prayerfully, all is well with her. It may have just been some miscommunication, whatever the case. I know that there are no accidents in God. And this has given me space to think because I have been in a place of kind of deciding how I want to proceed with the podcast. Initially, when I decided to bring the podcast back, it was going to be kind of the same format that I did before, where I pre-recorded and just uploaded, and that was going to be it because, it was an easy process. I could knock out back-to-back interviews and get things done. But I had a conversation with someone and they were like, maybe you should do it live. Have you ever thought of maybe if you want to turn it into a show later on, maybe you should do it live? So I was like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea, because then that gives me accountability. It keeps me on track. And so I was like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. So that was what I decided to do, was do it live and then have them edit it and upload them for the audio format. And I was excited about that, but I kind of felt this tummy thing that I feel when God is like, trying to get my attention. And if you've been around me long enough, then you have absolutely heard me say that when you step out and do things that you believe God is showing you and calling you to do, that God will either confirm or correct your course. And so that is the moment that I'm sitting in right now, a moment of God giving me an opportunity to correct my course. And I was going to actually cancel tonight's episode and just, put a post up about it and be done. But of course, I reached out to my to one of my purpose partners, Andrea, who is not on I don't see in this chat. So somebody tag Andrea so that she can get in this chat, because she's the reason I'm here. Um, but of course, you know that she is the show up strategist. So she's like, you are absolutely not canceling. You were gonna you were gonna have this conversation for someone who needs to hear it. And so I knew that, but yeah, I didn't want to hear it. I was hoping that maybe she would let me just be like, you know what, it's okay. Go ahead and cancel it. Put up a post. You'll be fine. People understand. So one of the lessons is if you don't want if you don't want your coattail pulled, don't call your purpose partner when you are ready to have a pity party because they will not let you. So I'm actually grateful for that because it confirmed what I felt and what I knew. Yes, absolutely, Jan. She don't play about us showing up, uh, but it confirmed what I already knew. God was telling me that yeah, you gonna show up. We're not canceling because this is a lesson that people need. Because the thing that I find, and the thing that I've kind of been going back and forth about is like, is this the time for the podcast? Because I realize that every good thing is not necessarily a God thing, but every God thing, even in the wrong time, kind of takes us off course. So, so as I talked about last week, I am in the process of publishing a devotional and a workbook, and that is it's a cumbersome process. And then the podcast has its own process uh, that takes time. And so what I have been going back and forth with is, oh, there she is. There she is. Hey, Andrea, I was about to say, I told the people, listen, you the reason I'm here, so I need you to be here. um, but yeah, that's the thing I've been going back and forth about is now the right time for the podcast. And I know that it is a God thing that this podcast happened because there are stories that that people need to hear so they know they're not alone. And it's something that brings me joy. And it's a way for me to connect with people. And I know that being connected to other people who share their light is part of God's plan for my life. So I know that it is absolutely a God thing. But I've been sitting in, is this the time? And I don't know if I'm sure I'm not alone in this. If you have started something and you've done all you've shared it with people, you've told people about it, and you get into it, and it's like, I don't know if this is, like I said, the time for it, but I'm in it now, and I've told people, so I've got to be committed to it, right? Like, I can't just stop, and I can't just, um, tell the people that, hey, we're doing something different. But if that's what God is calling you to do, sometimes when we step out and we need to be course corrected, sometimes we have to look a little foolish. I can't remember the scripture, but the word tells us that God uses the foolish things to confound the wise. So, there is a reason that I started on this course, and there is a reason that the course is being corrected now. And that's something that I'm going to have to be in prayer about. And so I'm just here tonight to encourage you that if you are in a place where you have started something and you feel like you're stuck because you started, and you have told people about it, you have got the business cards and you got the building and all the things, you stepped out in what you thought was faith, and not necessarily saying that it wasn't faith, but you stepped out, and maybe you stepped out a little too soon, and now you feel stuck and you feel stressed and you feel overwhelmed because you're in a position that you're not supposed to be in. It's okay to pivot. It's okay to take a step back and talk to God about it. Absolutely, Jan. There is power in the pivot. And we start to question if it's a God thing when things don't go the way we expected. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We start to question it. So there is a difference in, like I said, God confirming or correcting you. So in the space of God correcting you, it's a gentle nudge. It's like that tummy thing that I was talking about, of God trying to get your attention, and then things start to confirm, you know, that maybe he's giving you space to get in his presence and to actually hear from him of, is this where I'm supposed to be right now? And if it's not, it's okay to step out of that position and get back to what God is calling you to. So as I was preparing for tonight, I my prayer was, God, um, help me walk this lesson out, because you have me walking out a lesson that I teach and preach all the time. And I'm at a place where I'm walking it out again. And the difference is, I'm not afraid to pivot and to adjust, because I know that what God calls me to, even if what I'm doing is a good thing, the thing that he's called me to and the alignment that he shifts me into is a better thing, because it's something that I'm doing in alignment with his will. And if I'm in alignment with his will, then I have his provisions. And if I'm in alignment with his will, then I have his protection. And if I'm in alignment with his will, then I have his grace. So don't be afraid to pivot. If you feel like God is telling you it's time to shift, trust that. It's okay. And you don't have to be embarrassed about if you started something. Listen, I have started and stopped plenty of things. Um, but that's part of our learning process. That's part of the process of figuring out life. It's trying something. If it works, it works. Keep doing it. If it doesn't work, try something different. And sometimes, even if it does work and God calls you away from it, you still got to try something different. So don't be embarrassed if your life is not what you think it should be right now, because you've had to pivot. You've had to make a different decision. There's no shame in that. And don't let anyone bring any shame to you. Don't let anyone put their broken thoughts on you. Their thoughts that are coming from a place of dysfunction. Don't let them put that on you. Because it's better to be in God's will and do what's pleasing to him than it is to do what's pleasing to man and be out here outside of God's grace, uncovered, unprotected. That's where we get to that place of overwhelm, and we get to that place of stress, and we're wondering why things aren't happening like we want them to happen. It's because God's grace follows the assignment. So position yourself where God is calling you to. So this is a lesson also for those who are scared to step out, who are in that place of overthinking, of trying to figure everything out before you start. You don't have to figure it all out before you start. God is going to direct you. And like I said, he confirms or he corrects. And the correction is in love. There is nothing about how I feel right now that is not grounded and rooted in God's love. And there is peace when you pivot back into alignment. And you may not feel good every time you have to make a shift, especially if you're shifting from something that you think is greater. There's no shame in, starting a business and thinking that that business is what you're called to do, but then something happens and it doesn't turn out the way you thought it would, or it fails or whatever, and you have to shift back to a corporate job. There's no shame in that. There's nothing wrong with that. Wherever God shifts you, there is something that you need in that place. So if he's pulling you away from business to go back into a corporation, maybe he's setting you up to get some training that you're going to need. And that job is going to pay for that training that you would have had to pay for out of pocket if you were the business owner. Perhaps he's setting you up to get free education, free certification. Whatever it is, wherever God shifts you to, there is purpose in that place. And there is no shame in that. So I'm going to go over here and check some of the comments. Oh, good, Jan. That's good. It's good to know that you're not alone in what you're going through and where you are. I think I saw a comment from Andrea that I missed. Oh, yeah, that's good. Keep doing the last thing God told you to do. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sometimes we want to move and do something different because what God told us doesn't feel like it's happening fast enough. It feels like we're just kind of stuck. And because it's not happening fast enough in our eyes, then we take matters into our own hands, like we know better than the God who created us and who created the universe and who created all of the resources for us. So it's important to be patient and just follow the instructions that God gave you. And if something that you're doing changes and shifts, be okay with that. Okay, Andrew, that's how you got your degree. JP Morgan Chase paid for it. Yes. Yes. God positions you to get what you need. I actually think is it 20 years this year? I think 20 years. I'll have been at my job for 20 years. And in that time, I have learned everything that I have learned in that job. I have used to build what God is calling me to build my coaching, to build the membership, to know how to communicate properly with people. It's given me the skills to manage a multi-six-figure budget, all of those things. So everything that I've learned in this job that I, have said many times that I really don't want to be in. I'd much rather be at home, spending my time with my babies, but there is purpose and provision everywhere that God sends you. Everywhere that God sends you, there is purpose and provision. So don't be afraid to pivot. Don't be afraid to do something different. Yeah. I was like, why am I working here? I got a college education and a whole husband. Okay. See, God knows what we need. He puts us in the place to get what we need. You might be missing out on your future, stuck in a path but that God didn't put you on. And Jan says, I'm learning so much new stuff in my new position. Yeah. Yes. We're learning things to grow. But if we're looking at our pivot with shame, with embarrassment, if we're looking at it with disdain, then we miss the blessing. If we're trying to figure out how to make what we're in look good in front of other people instead of focusing on what God has for us in the pivot, then we miss it. We miss our blessings. We miss the keys to the next part of our assignment. So don't despise where you are, even if it's not where you want to be. If God has you in a certain position, there is something you need there. There is something that He is going to use, and there's something that He's going to teach you. Miss Dina says, I'm taking it in. I don't know where God is shifting or even if it's now, sooner or later, but I know He's shifting me. I know I need to shift too when you can't pray for something and then act like God hasn't heard you. Yes. Yeah. Hey, Miss Shernette. So yeah, don't be afraid to pivot. If God is calling you to shift, shift gracefully. Shift gracefully. And it just says the enemy wants you to feel embarrassed, etc. There's purpose in the pivot. Trust God that He's positioned you. Yeah. So as I talk about this pivot, as it relates to the podcast, because that's kind of where it all started. The podcast isn't going away. Let me just say that because I know that it's definitely not going away. But the way that it's presented may change. I don't know. I told y'all I got to get in God's presence about it because this is the second week that something has happened with my guest, and I don't think that's a coincidence. So, wherever God leads is where I'm going. So, if it's pivoting to back to pre-recorded, then that may be the pivot. If it's pivoting to a later season after this book is out and launched and done, that may be the pivot. But of course, I'm going to let y'all know because I think it's important for people to see behind the perceived success or the perceived to see behind the facade, maybe that we have it all together. Yeah. It's important for people to see behind our pretty picture. Again, behind our mask. It's important to see behind that because that's when people know they're not alone. And that's when people know that they can make it through whatever they're going through. There may be somebody who sees this at some point who is sitting in a place of depression because they feel like they failed. Because what they thought was going to work didn't work. They may be in that place where they are ready to give up because they're so burdened down by shame. And so if my only purpose for this episode is to speak to that person so that they know they're not alone, so that they know there is no shame in pivoting, there is no shame in shifting, to know that even if God calls you into something and you step out a little too soon, he's got enough grace to pull you back gently and say, hey, baby, we need to do something a little different. If that's the only reason for this episode, then I'm good. um, yeah. And it's interesting that today is the first day of Mental Health Awareness Month. I don't think that's a coincidence. I don't think that's a coincidence either, because a lot of people get into that place of being depressed um, because life isn't going the way they thought it would. I've talked a lot about my journey with depression and suicidal ideations, and I've been very open about that because it's important for people to know that there are people who have made it through what they're going through. And a lot of the times that I have been diagnosed with clinical depression and PMDD, so my hormones affect all of that. So there's that, but then there's also the depression that comes from not knowing how I'm going to manage, um, unexpected expenses and bills and things, and feeling like I should be further along in life than this, that this is not something that I have to worry about. So I've had those moments. And it's because I allowed my circumstances to speak more than what God was telling me in that season. Even in those seasons where it feels like things aren't going our way, when it feels like things are being stripped from us, God is still with us. So, yeah, don't be afraid to pivot. Don't be afraid to do what God is calling you to do. And, sometimes we hear the instruction and we get excited and we want to run with it. So much so that we forget to go back and be like, okay, God, when is this? When is this for? Is this something for right now? Or is it something for later? We skip all of that conversation and just run. But like a parent, when we're about to run into the road and head into danger, your parent goes and snatches you back. God does the same thing. He's not going to let us go too far. He's not going to let us go too far down the wrong path before he corrects us and brings us back. Because he's just a loving God like that. He's a loving Father like that. So be encouraged if you are in a place of decision making where the next step seems unclear, or the next step seems like a step back instead of a step forward. Even in stepping back, if God is calling you to step back, then he's positioning you for something greater. So just remember that. Keep that with you. Yeah. So I'm going to be in prayer this week about what this pivot looks like for me. And because, in full transparency, I don't know. I don't know. But I do know the God who has my purpose, the God who created me, the God who won't let me fall. So, hey, Lena. Yes, he always rescues us. So I know that he's not going to let me fall, and he's not going to let me get too far off the path. So whatever it looks like, hey there, overcomer. It's still going to be a thing. It just may look a little different. And maybe this is just a lesson to change the systems and the process. I don't know. But whatever it is, God is with me. I trust Him. Yes. Every step is orchestrated by Him. It is well. Yes. Our steps are ordered by God, they are directed by Him. So don't be afraid. If you're in a place of pivot, if you're in a place of shifting, if you're in a place of decision making, don't be afraid. Don't let shame stop you from doing what God called you to do. Because people are going to talk about you either way. If you're doing something good, if you're not doing something good, if you fail at what you're doing, or if you succeed, people are always going to talk. So don't let yourself be bound by what others have to say, what you think others might have to say. Because, you know, if people are real with themselves, then they may be facing the same thing, the same battles. So, yeah, I think that's it for this episode tonight. So I may see you next Thursday. I don't know. If Andrea has her way, I would show up every day. If Andrea had her way. But yeah, there's a reason for the pivot, and I'm excited to see what it is. And in the meantime, if you have not pre-ordered your copy of Unmasked, then make sure you do so soon. We're like on countdown to the release date. The release date is May 27th, which sounds so crazy to me because it feels like it's so soon. But I am so excited about the book, about this devotional, because I know it's going to break chains. And yeah, there's so many things that God has taught me through the writing process of this book, and so many things that He has shed off of me in this process. So I'm excited for those lessons. And yes, Jan, get the box. If you don't know what Jan is talking about, last week I kind of did a preview of the VIP box, which is the Unmasked book, the devotional, the Unmasked devotional, the accompanying workbook. It's a custom journal, custom pen, lots of other goodies. It also includes a one-on-one coaching session, because, as I said, I don't want this to be another book that just sits on your shelf. This is meant to be healing. And so I want to make sure that, you don't get stuck in the process. So there is a 30-minute one-on-one coaching call, as well as an exclusive Unmasked course that is only available through the VIP box. And I got my affirmation cards and I left them upstairs though. But I did put a post up about them. So you may have seen the post about the affirmation cards. But I am so excited about everything in this box. It's all intentional. It's all intentional to create an experience of healing and restoration. And when I get off of here tonight, I am reformatting a couple of things, but I will be hitting submit so that I can get my preview copy, get my proof. So I am super excited about that. just show the box. Hold on. Let me see if I can reach it. It's like kind of off screen from me, but oh, okay. Okay, so this is a box that will come to your door that ushers in your unmasked experience. And yeah, I partnered with my one of my good friends, Mina, of Stirring Mixes. She's her candles are amazing. So there is a beautiful candle that is coming to set the atmosphere. Um, my daughter, who does her own skin and hair care products, created a special body shimmer oil just for us, and it smells so good. It's so good. It's such a good product, but it, like all the things, I just want this to be an experience that uplifts you and that allows you to see. Oh, okay, yeah. I'm like dumping on my screen. That's so okay. Yeah, I don't know. Something weird is going on. I hope I'm not echoing for y'all. That was so weird. I don't know. Riverside just did something super, super weird where it was like two of me on the screen. So I was echoey. So I don't know if it echoed for y'all or if it was two of me for y'all, but I don't know. So maybe that was God saying, get up off of here and go sit down somewhere. Oh, okay. I'm going to assume that we're not still live. Are we still live? What is happening? What is happening?